Yes, I picked up the brand new Sony ZV-E1 as my regular daily driver and everyday content camera, and I must say I am having an absolute blast. We did. We got the you can see it, the Storm white chocolate edition camera, bee's knees Hall of Fame. It makes me want to switch all of my cameras to white body simply for that reason. This, yeah, I'm having so much fun using this one. But there are 5 features that are in this camera I wish would be updated to the ZV-E10. I know that's not going to happen. So let's hope for the ZV-E10 Mark II. I hope they're in the A6700. I hope they're in the A7C Mark II. I hope they're in all the other ones, because these couple features, and I'll probably throw in a few extras, bee's knees Hall of Fame. Right off the rip, of course, this is just a bonus. Touchscreen should have always been there, but you know, it's not been. But I think for as long as smartphones have been around, and for as long as like Canon has had this, Panasonic had, like there's really no real reason for it. But the swipe menu, it's legit, it is handy. And I am finding myself to use, like, even though there's a record button there, I thought initially, like, who would use that? Or how often would you use that? You have one here, you can reprogram the shutter. You'd be surprised. It just keeps you from having to do a little claw reach around thing and just hit it on the screen. Just throwing it out there. This is great, super handy. You see those icons popping up on the screen? Just the little star, auto white balance lock. Those are features I missed from the A6600. I wish it was on the E10. Again, I hope it's on all the future cameras, and I'm glad it's on this one. Auto white balance lock, auto exposure lock. Doesn't seem like, for somebody that's always in a manual mode, you're controlling all the different features, like it would be that big of a deal. But there are times when I'm traveling. You go from outside, let's say you're on a plane, you get off the plane in the hotel lobby, and you're driving around town, you're doing all these different things. I do not want to constantly set the white balance, set the ISO for every little thing. Sure, you can put it aperture priority or even shutter priority, but I want as many automatic features that work well to do their own thing without me having to be involved in these short little spurts. So when I'm traveling, the one thing that I do want is the auto white balance lock. The auto exposure lock, we saw that on the ZV-E10, which is fine. I have my custom button set up to that, so I can just press the downward directional button and we're fine. But I would hit the trash can icon for the white balance lock. So when I do walk into a hotel room, sometimes the camera actually figures it out and it picks a really nice white balance all on its own. Instead of allowing the camera to constantly pick, if the lights come on or get turned off, what the white balance should be, I'd rather just lock it to the setting that's right, so I can unlock it, so when I get up from the stage and I go out into the hallway or doing whatever I'm doing, I don't have to reset the white balance manually. First world problems, obviously, but at the same time, super duper handy. Glad it made it to this camera, both of them. Now this one just seems like, obviously it's a given, the Z batteries. Do I miss this from the A6600? Yeah, because I forgot how often I'm thinking about switching the batteries out. Like when 50% happens on the ZV-E10, 50% on this camera is not the same. Like I still record it like from the afternoon up until the evening, just testing, kind of documenting my day for the vlog channel and stuff. I'm like, this is crazy. And I think even this morning when I turned the camera back on, it was at like 10%. So knowing that I have way more time to record and not have to think about it, or not have to think about, let me just grab my battery bank. It's never been an issue for me, but it is nice to not have to think about it anymore. So the Z battery is a win. Some people are saying it's a little bit less performance than what they're saying like on the A7S Mark III. Could be because of the other stuff that's in here. I don't know. But either way, it's still amazing coming from the FW50 batteries to the FC100 batteries. And like I said, it's kind of a given. And this next one, bee's knees Hall of Fame, I'm telling you, profile setting saves. I saw this back with like the Panasonic GH5. I even think the GH4 had it, where you could save the profile of your camera to like the SD card and like save that to Dropbox or something. So what this means is if you have your dialed in settings, the way your camera likes to be programmed from the buttons and all that stuff, let's say you have all of those things saved in your profile. If my friends came around and they were helping me to shoot, they don't have to change their stuff. I can have them load the profile instead of taking 5-10 minutes, whatever it would take to reset up their camera and then maybe save that to the memory recall or something. Now I don't have to worry about that. And if I'm renting a camera and it can also receive profiles, instantly I just take everything, the brain from this camera, put it in the other one or the memory, and it's good to go. So that's super helpful. And I really wanted this a long time for the channel, because when people are asking like what the settings are and stuff like that, like I get taking 20 to 30 minutes and go through a settings video, if not longer, depending on how long it is, to do that versus just say, hey, links in the description if you want to get the download for the profile, and then you can load it in your camera. You're off to the races, make the minor adjustments, and then jump from there. Fine. I still am going to do that video, but I'm going to make the profile available so you just have it if you use a camera like this one that can receive the profiles. I really hate that it's not on the ZV-E10. I really hope it's on the A6700 and all the cameras forward, because honestly, that would make my life and just other creators as well so much easier. The other thing is, if you have friends that are coming to help you at an event, like my buddy Kirk Nugent, that is doing an amazing job on his channel. Doc Rock is always out there. I have other friends with Sony cameras. If I could say, take this profile, load it, so we already are good to go before we even get to the event, Beast Knees Hall of Fame. I've been waiting on this one. Better stabilization, hands down. The dynamic active stabilization in this camera is unlike anything that I have seen. And the active stabilization, which I feel like kind of got a bad rep on the ZV-E10, but I was so glad that it was just in the camera to begin with, because when you're doing those panning shots, you just want to get some B-roll or something like that. Maybe you want to get some B-roll of your product, or you're handing your camera off to somebody to say, hey, get some B-roll of me on this client call, so you can use it like in your promotional stuff. So if you're not doing that, do that. It will be super handy. You can even get to like your 12-year-old to help you out with that. Make sure that you're getting those clips and they're stable without having to use Catalyst Browse. It's possible, but not without making some adjustments to deal with the quirks from the ZV-E10. But on the ZV-E1, all that stuff is fixed. There aren't any issues for real with the active stay. Dynamic just jumps it to a whole other level, and it's just really, really nice. So if you go into active, because you don't have clear and zoom available, if you're in dynamic stabilization, you have to be in active, standard, or be off. So knowing that we don't have to use Catalyst Browse anymore, and we have IBIS in the camera on top of this digital stuff, like that was the main thing, like I discussed with my video editors, like this saves us so much time. Because we don't have to use Catalyst Browse anymore unless we just really want to. It's already pretty much built into the camera, and we have IBIS, so I'm not stuck looking and prioritizing the OSS lenses by Sony, because they're not making them that often anymore. Most of the lenses don't have stabilization in it, which made not having IBIS in the ZV-E10 that much more annoying that they didn't, but I get it for the price point, which is why I hope, and I have firm beliefs that it should be in the A6700, but the improved version like it's in here, in the A6700 and the A7C Mark II. Please, Sony, don't rip people off on that one, please. Then you got to give it up for proxy video settings, which have already been in the ZV-10, but customization to those proxy files in the E1. The fact that you have proxies in a camera at like $700-800, amazing. It's also in the ZV-1, but the fact now we can customize it to be 720p or 1080p or like a 420 10-bit file, we can still use those, quiet as kept, those 1080p files for stuff like social media when we need a rapid turnaround. We want the higher quality, we want the smaller file size. That works if you're in a pinch, or if you're traveling and you like, I can't transfer those files. You can work with them proxy files, but it helps even more in the workflow. And again, saving my editor time, so it's not such a frustration for us to work through, test, try, and get used to like 10-bit footage, 4K, and as stuff comes out, 6 and 8K or whatever, way down the line. If you have a proxy workflow, we don't have to worry about creating them in the editing software programs. It's just a win-win all around. Sony put a lot beyond just the stuff that I talked about in this video. They put a lot of stuff that you're not seeing online in this camera. Those are just the tip of the iceberg of the stuff that's in here that literally is changing how I'm able to create content. I just forgot like that we had the auto reframing and all this other stuff. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm still doing it the hard way when this camera makes it super duper easy. Man, I'm telling y'all, this camera may not be right for everybody. I get that. But the stuff that should be on the road to come out soon, Beast Knees Hall of Fame. And I'm so glad I got this camera. And I hope these updates come to some of the newer cameras that I mentioned. But let me know what new update or what feature in your camera is one that you're using the most. Let me know down in the comments. And if you made it to the end of the video, you send me the letters AOG, I'll send you a free physical signed copy of my brand new best-selling book, The One Right Video. And that's the letters AOG. You send that to me in an email, first come, first serve. And this is not like, oh, no, like, so whoever watched first and you followed through on this and you emailed saying, I want a copy of your book, I will send you a signed copy, a physical one, not a digital one. Second, third, fourth, fifth, hey, turn notifications on. All right. That's what I'm leaving for this week's video. I'll see y'all on the next one. Live a passion, my friends, and learn your cameras. Some fun, helpful stuff in there. Are you an entrepreneur struggling to get your brand noticed through video content? Look no further. The One Right Video is the ultimate guide to creating videos that will amplify your brand and grow your business. It's jam-packed with practical tips and strategies to help entrepreneurs just like you succeed in video content creation and be among the first to get your hands on a copy of The One Right Video. Go to onerightvideo.com.